have the very top teams in the world competing in this event. So let's go ahead and get things started. Here we go, guys. Game number 4 between EG and ReIGN. ReIGN up 2-1, mostly because of this guy, Spades, spawning as our blue Terran player here at the 3 o'clock position. On Terminus, his opponent down at the 6 o'clock position, spawning as our pink Zerg player, is EG.Machine.
Terminus, one of those maps I think that is very, very good for Machine's playstyle, but we do have the relatively close position spawns here. It's going to be very hard for Machine to get a 4th up and running. If we just look at the positioning on the map, his potential 4ths are either the one right outside of his main in mid, which is a very, very risky 4th to take, or he could try and go for one of the other mains or perhaps a natural over on the left-hand side of the map. Now, I think these positions definitely favor Spades. He has easy drop access to the 3rd and the natural, and he also has a direct push line from his natural or his potential 4th to Machine's potential 4th. So just in my mind as a Terran player, it's a very straightforward push. You can take your 4th while pushing down the map across and potentially deny his expansion. So it's just a very good positional-based advantage for Spades right now.
And Spades has been showing a couple of unconventional strategies at us recently, so I don't know how he'll take advantage of that. I mean, I always say, you know, I wonder what they're going to do. Curious what strategy they're going to apply. I genuinely am here. Like, I don't know what Spades is going to throw at us. He is going for that refinery right away. He is not going to do any sort of a 2-Rex cheese or anything like that. Much harder to pull off on this map. And real quick, to MTU Pyro in chat, just want to let you know, don't let chat get you down. We all love you here over at IGN. So, Spades does have his first barracks about done. Machine went ahead and dropped down that 15 hatch.
Yep, and that is exactly what Machine does best. He is a heavy macro player, relies very heavily on those mechanics, and just a macro Zerg style in general. Now, I was saying, I was saying that this map does favor his style, but
yes,
like I said, the positions definitely favor Spades here, and this is one of those maps with positional or rotational symmetry is what you would call it, where depending on the spawn, a certain player can have an advantage, and I would love to see Spades take advantage of that and launch a solid push here through the mid to late game and just take that 4th and slowly work his way down to Machine's side of the map. But we are going to have a very early factory here out of Spades. Now, is he going to get an add-on this time with the racks? I think he will, just judged on the positioning of that factory, and he's already moving it over to get in position for the eventual add-on here. Now, do you think we're going to see a reactor or a tech lab? I think we're going to see a reactor.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. Asking questions and taking the answers away from me.
Well, I thought you were going to take the other answer.
No, I'm joking. I was going to guess reactor. And I do want to let people know, in case you didn't notice when we were flying around the map, this is the version of Terminus where the 3rd base has destructible debris outside of it. So there are more opportunities to get in and attack that 3rd. Makes it a little less secure to a well-coordinated push. But we'll see if either player decides to follow up on that here in a bit. We do have that reactor coming down, as you mentioned, so once again, Spades is going to make a nice, strong Hellion push. And I've got to say, though, just because of the map, I think that Machine is going to have a little bit better opportunity to hold this off than Idra did in that game.
Well, yeah, Idra didn't really have an opportunity. Idra was playing Idra. I mean, he was doing what Idra does, transitioning from point A to point B to point C, and you know what? He didn't scout that game, and he paid for it dearly.
Yes.
I mean, he went into panic mode. He tried to throw up some buildings, block with queens, scramble. You know, it's like when the alarm goes off in the barracks, but there's already an air raid destroying everything. That's kind of what we saw there after Idra. He was trying to scramble the troops, but they were unable to do so in a timely manner.
And it looks like we may see a little bit of what we were talking about before. There's the transition over to the tech lab. Oh, wow, going right into a siege tank after that. He's not actually going to follow this up with Blue Flame Hellion, so never mind, back up a little bit. We're not going to see what we saw a lot over at MLG.
But this will give him the opportunity for a much earlier tank push.
Yes.
Much earlier.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see here is a tank push with early siege, but he's not going to have those upgrades on the Marines. So we're not going to have combat shield, we're not going to have stim. We're just going to have 3 to 4 siege tanks with a ton of unupgraded Marines. And that can be a very effective push if microed correctly and if he utilizes it properly.
Yeah, and especially if he can get the tanks around this spot here, the sweet spot underneath, and start ferrying troops up into the main. If he can break this little area right here, control this choke point. But Machine, if he's able to establish creep spread, if he delays the push long enough to actually start moving Spades units here out into the open, Spades is going to find a lot harder time because there'll be quite a bit of maneuverability there for Machine.
Yeah, and Machine is going to need roaches to hold that off. I don't think purely speedlings or banelings are really the answer to this type of a build. There's no way he's going to have baneling speed. Well, let's take a look at what Spades is up to here. Is he gearing up for a push anytime soon? He just continues to produce siege tanks off that factory, continues to build Marines off the racks. But if we look at Spades' production, he has no other production buildings right now.
One factory, one barracks.
Nor does he have any upgrade centers. He has no engineering bay, he has no armory. So where is he going to go with this? If he pushes, he's putting himself at huge risk, because if he loses that push, it's going to be very difficult for him to resupply that.
Yeah, one mistake, especially to banelings that we're seeing coming on the field right now, and he's done. We finally have a couple more barracks that are coming on the field. But this is still an extremely late timing. He does have a nice defensive position set up, so maybe he just wants to play the passive game, let Machine come to him. But Machine's going to have a pretty good transition over to his Spire if that happens, and Mutalisk could absolutely wreck Spades.
And he is getting a Roach Warren now and a Spire, so it looks like we're going to perhaps see the Roach Warren as a defensive strategy if need be. He can get those roaches out and really support in any kind of defense of his natural. And then also when the Spire comes out, he's obviously going to be able to get that Mutaball going, start harassing the main, the natural, and see what he can do in that regard. I'm also really interested to see what Machine does as far as fourth is concerned. If he's going to take the natural fourth in the mid, which is super volatile position right there.
Right.
So many things can happen. You could end up losing that at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, I really don't know. Or if he's going to sit on 3 bases for a good period of time and just try to macro and deny the third out of Spades for a little while with pure harassment. Spades did, let's see, did he lose this destructible debris? No, it looks like Machine pulled off of that. I'm not actually sure why. Maybe I think the Marines swung up before and tried to do a little bit of damage, but he certainly could keep 1 or 2 there, if only for scouting purposes, and continue to do work to those destructible rocks. Spades is going to make a nice little wall of his own, though. He does have the engineering bay finished, so we'll be able to put up some missile turrets whenever he does eventually scout those Mutalisks as well. But I don't know. This has been a very, very passive game out of both players so far.
Yeah, virtually no action outside of the naturals, and Spades looks to be gearing up for something here. Is he moving out? Yes, it looks like Spades is indeed moving out. Nope, he's gonna head right back to the natural. Nope, he's gonna head back to mid. So Spades a little bit unsure as to what he wants to do right now. We do have Stim and +1 on the way, so perhaps he wants to wait for that perfect timing push, but he's going to have to wait for quite a while if he wants to do that, and it looks like he is, in fact, going to push here. I don't know about the timing of this push, though. We have a bunch of Mutalisks on the way right now. He has those Lings set up for a potential flank maneuver, and Spades is being very, very aggressive with his push right now.
Yeah, he is completely on creep, too, so if there were any banelings, those would get destroyed almost immediately. He does have a, well, there's the
Whoa!
Whoa, accidentally A-clicks both of the siege tanks there, doing quite a bit of damage, and he's inflicting more damage when he cleared up the creep tumors. That's going to allow time for these banelings to get finished. There we go. They're going to be able to move in on creep, as this will not go away in time, so Spades could get crushed by pretty good positioning here.
Oh, no, and it looks like he's going to move even closer, but he does not have Stim yet. It is just so close to being done.
God.
Almost there. He just needs to wait a little bit longer, maybe another 15 to 20 seconds. Stim will be done, and that's going to be absolutely huge for him, but Spades is in a very precarious position right now. I don't think he's threatening anything super important right now. Yes, he's in a very aggressive position. It's also an advantageous position for him, but with this flank that Machine has set up, and he's also grouping up a ton more units at the natural, I get the feeling that Machine is setting up to crush him here, but he's losing so many Mutalisks out in the midfield, he's not paying attention.
Go, but at the same time, he's going to swing in. Now he's swinging in from both sides. A lot of Marines are going down, and the tanks fall as well. But he loses all those costly mutas to that group of Marines over to the north of that push. Oh, man.
Yeah, that was a ton of mutas right there that went down, and he's going to have to fall back to this bunker, but he will have enough to hold this. He's not going to lose right here. He will be able to thwart this push. He's taking his third, and Machine is going to start working on those rocks once again, and he's going to send the few Mutalisks that he does have remaining to go in and harass the third ear, but those are not going to get much done, as we do have a big group of Marines ready to fend them off.
Yep, and at least this time the Mutalisks aren't directly engaging the Marines. It didn't work out so well last time. Spades does now have stim done. He does not actually have combat shields finished. No combat shield upgrade yet.
This is something we've seen out of Spades many times.
Yeah.
He forgets combat shield until very late in the game, and then sometimes he'll remember it, sometimes he won't. It's just one of those quirks that we see in players.
That's everything from one less stim to
it's a big deal.
I mean, that's potentially going to be his downfall. Actually, if he commits to building 7 Marines at a time, you've got to think then for every 4 or 5 Marines you're building, that's 1 less essentially because of combat shield. But here comes Machine now. He's going to make his way in, but this tank is not sieged up. The Banelings do quite a bit of damage, and it looks like the Mutalisks are going to be able to clean up this 1 missile turret, but not the second. And the Banelings get in and kill so many SCVs.
Yeah, I mean, Spades not ready for that at all. I don't know why he left those SCVs there. I mean, it was very clear that the Banelings were headed towards the natural, but a little bit of a late reaction there allows Machine to come up huge.
Wow. And Machine has gone ahead and taken us 4th on the left side of the map. He's also taken his 5th down there as well. So his production is going to be basically, especially after killing those 16 workers.
And you know what else is a problem? I know how we were talking about combat shield a little bit earlier, which, by the way, folks, is halfway done now. So
hooray.
He does have combat shield on the way. I was going to say, which was at the 14-minute mark. We're now at almost the 16-minute mark, 1550, that he's floating 1,200 gas. He needs to find somewhere to dump that gas. More tanks, more Thors, upgrades.
Did you see the armory coming up? So maybe Thor's here in a bit. So
yeah, well, I would love to see that. Hopefully he gets a repair off on this missile turret. It does go down. Now his main mineral line is wide open. And Machine just doing a great job picking him apart here, but once again he forgets about all of his Mutalisks.
Oh no! 5 Mutas went down to that group of Marines, and it looks like even Spades is going to be able to save this refiner. Yeah, there he goes. So,
and you know, that's one thing you will notice about the Korean players. Their Mutalisks never stop moving.
No.
Ever. They never stop moving, and that's, 2 times in this game that we've seen a full stall, engine stall, and you know what happens when the Mutalisk engine stall? The Marines take full advantage of that, and they are just cutting into the Mutalisk numbers. Think how big that Mutaball would be if he hadn't lost a single Muta this game. It would be...
Full stop ahead. Why, Commander? Why?
It would be a force to be reckoned with.
And Spades, he has done a pretty decent job of at least staying in the supply game. He's only down 12 supply, and if you're only down 12 supply to a Zerg player at this stage of the game, you're doing all right. But he's quickly going to find himself farther and farther behind. Machine is now on 6 bases. That's plenty enough to combat the 3 bases that Spades has up. He's getting to the point where he's going to be starved out if this game continues to progress for a long period of time. And he's still establishing a defensive position, now finally moving those Marines out to the middle of the map. But, man, he has got to make things happen, and soon.
And it looks like he's trying to do that now. He's moving out into mid, he's spreading his tanks out, but like you said, he's got to make something happen now, and he's going with this slow push style here, and it's going to take him so long to get across the map. Now, keep in mind, Machine is on 6 base here. He did not go for that 4th that I was talking about. He went for the expansions on the far side of the map, and I totally agree with that. They're much safer with these positions, and I love that Machine went ahead and did that. Now, he has enough bases that he can start throwing away his army here in a little bit, and we still have no medevacs.
Yeah, that's people in chat were pointing that out, and they are absolutely right. The lack of medevacs is going to significantly hamper this push, as any stim is going to be devastating. But here we go. Machine actually makes his way in, loses 3 Mutalisks very quickly. He is going to have enough to kill off all of these SCVs, though, and I guess he considers it worth it.
No, it's not. No.
That's why I said I guess he does, because
only getting a couple SCVs here, but he's losing pretty much his entire Mutaball. I mean, he started that out with maybe 8 more Mutas, perhaps 10, but if you break that down, that is so much minerals and that's just so many resources invested in Mutas. You cannot lose them like that. They're such a fragile unit, and they're very, very expensive for their overall effectiveness.
And another 3 Mutas go down, so of the 22, I believe he bought, or 21, he now only has 9 remaining. So
well, it's a good thing that he can afford to lose them right now.
Yes.
Not in these kinds of numbers, but he can afford to replenish them. It's just he can't continue to lose mutas in those kind of serious numbers, and it looks like Spades getting a beat on this is realized, you know, hey.
Timing with +2, so here he goes, making his way out.
Oh my god, Machine is coming in from the left-hand side, but he didn't split his forces, so Spades, microing very well right now, is going to kill all of these Banelings, and oh my god. Machine just lost his entire army.
Yeah, Machine's putting up 76 Zerglings, but against the sheer number of Marines that are out, that's not going to be enough.
Medivacs.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, and there's another stim.
Every
time he stims, it kind of kills you inside a little bit. As here he comes, Spade's going to make his way in. He's going to target down these structures and a couple of queens. Now here come all of the Zerglings going to start streaming in. I don't know if he has enough to combat this head on. He's just going to wait, sacrifice structures, and wait till the Banelings come up.
I mean, Brian is going to be killing himself after this game when he watches the replay. There are no Medivacs in the air, but he is going to get under these Broodlords and perhaps take them out. No, those Banelings will come in, and look at all of these Lings cleaning up Marines. This would never happen if there were Medivacs on the field. All of those Marines were in the deep red. The Zerglings were just cutting them to pieces, but Medivacs with Marines are so good at dealing with Zerglings. Zerglings, one of those units that do a very low damage, highly repetitive attack, which allows the Medivacs to keep Marines alive for much longer versus a unit like the Zergling as opposed to something like a Baneling.
Right. And Spades, though, I mean, we're talking about this production now. Hey, look at that, a medevac. We're talking about the production disadvantage he was at before. I guess we'll talk about that in a second, because Machine's going to make his way in. Baneling's starting to make their way up as well, not being targeted down. The Broodlords are actually attacking from behind as well. All those Marines are going to meet their end. They're coming up to try and take out these Broodlords, but I think the Banelings will get in time. One Broodlord does go down.
Oh, nice pickup right there by Spades. The Marines get saved in the medevac. He's going to drop those back down, and they will live to fight another day. Is he going to hold here? This is absolutely imperative that he holds on to his fourth. He needs this PF to go up, and then he can clean up these Broodlords eventually. Once he gets rid of everything on the ground, it looks like that is what's going to happen. So Spades holds on to his fourth here, will stabilize momentarily, but right now the supplies, 157 to 99, now up to 108, so Machine has a considerable lead here, and he's making the transition to all Zerg heavy air. We are seeing Broodlords and Corruptors out on the field, and it's going to be very tough for Spades to hold this.
Yep, this is starting to get a little bit worse and worse now as Machine has so many Broodlords morphing in. That is going to present a significant problem. There are a few Vikings out finally, and even doing a little bit of damage without... there we go, finally the Corruptors are making their way in. Oh, we should just finish off the one Broodlord. Here come the Marines now. They're going to make their way up. Machine is not committed with the rest of his forces. Now he's moving in. These Siege Tanks doing work, but the Banelings are going to move up, kill the rest of the Siege Tanks. These are not sieged up. The rest of the Marines are going to fall, and all the while these Broodlords continuing to do damage. That PF about to fall.
Yeah, Spades has just lost way too much here. I don't think he can continue to stave off this assault from Machine. Machine just rallying everything and continuing to pour on the hurt, and his resupply is just so much stronger. But we do have a drop going off on the left-hand side of the map. Can Spades get something done over there? He needs to kill these hatcheries. It is so important. If he can kill both these bases, he'll be in a position to crawl back into this, but he's losing his fourth right now.
Oh, and look, there's Infestors here with the Banelings and Zerglings as well. That's going to go down, and it looks like Machine is going after a 7th base at the same time. This PF finally did stabilize, but the production of Machine is going to be too good. 79 drones on all 7 of these bases. That is going to be an incredible uphill battle for Spades, trying to do what he can, but he is still only on 4 bases. Most of those mined out. My God.
That is going to be a major problem for Spades. He might have had a chance. He could have been in this game for a little bit longer, had his natural and third taken a little bit longer to mine out, but seeing as how they've completely mined out at this point, he's only mining off of 1 base. He is going to float his third to the expansion at the 12 o'clock in mid. I don't think he's going to be able to hold on to that, though. It's going to be very difficult to defend that, and it is an orbital, so he's not going to be able to get that PF up.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that's going to be able to hold, especially because Machine is going to see this pretty quickly. He has control of this Zelnaga Tower as well, so he feels secure to send units up this side, and I don't think he quite came in vision there. No, so he's still unaware, so Spades is going to be able to return at least somewhat of a decent profit off of that, but he is still pretty far behind in supply. He still doesn't have the world's best upgrades, and Machine is reinforcing with a very varied unit composition that, frankly, he's able to sustain because of his incredible economy.
Yep, I couldn't agree with you more, and he can continue to do so, but Spades has managed to equalize the supplies here. We're at 142 to 145. I don't know how this happened exactly, but
he just produced another. He's producing 2 siege tanks, 9 marines, and 2 SCVs at a time. So
you know, Spades has crawled his way back into this game. We gotta hand it to him. He's still ahead, 151 to 148 right now, and he continues to drop on the far side of the map. Gonna kill a ton of drones here, and this is exactly the kind of moves he needs to make to get back in this game. He's now ahead 166 to 144. Wow. What a great job from Spades to crawl back into this game. I'm so impressed right now.
And it looks like Machine sending a few Zerglings up here to the top left to go ahead and clean this up, but Spades cleans up one of those mining bases, going to make his way down to the next one, and those that group of Marines should be able to take out the Spine Crawlers. We had a little bit of a baneling drop. I apologize. I didn't see the Overlord coming across. Didn't actually kill that many workers. Just dropped, did a tiny bit of damage. Spades was able to get away. Those the PF cleaned up the banelings, didn't do any damage. But now the Marines are going to make their way down. The Spine Crawlers are going to fall, and he's denied mining at yet another base.
And he continues to pick off drones left and right. We do have some Zerglings coming in to clean up that drop. Is he going to fight them, or is he going to pick up and get out of there? He will pick up and probably head back over to the other. No, the other base. The hatchery went down, so he's not going to head back over there, but he can keep that over there as utility. We do have a baneling drop going off at mid.
There we go. That was a good baneling drop.
My goodness. How many harvesters does that leave Spades with?
And let's take a look. Unit stamp suggests 40. 40 workers. I mean, he's only mining off of 2 bases, so the saturation's okay. And he has the... but it looks like we're going to talk about that in a bit, because he is going to make his way up. There's a few Broodlords here, but mostly Infestors, and those Infestors are going to have to make the difference. The Banelings just did nothing right there.
All the Banelings in, though, and that could prove to be a game changer. Now all these Marines are going to be able to come in on the Broodlords here. He doesn't have enough Infestors, I don't think, to continually fungal here. Where did all those Marines that went up go?
And now he's realizing making their way back in.
Making their way in, but I think it could be a little bit late here.
Oh, those fungals are doing so much damage. So look at the huge group of Marines that falls down, and still not a big medevac backbone. So these are so susceptible, and a couple of Broodlords
the siege tanks are just ravaging. Once those Broodlings land, the siege tanks are killing them all. But importantly, all the Broodlords have gone down, but Spades just took such heavy losses there. That was not a good fight for him at all. I mean, now if we look at the supplies, 118 to Machine, 105 to Spades. So, Machine definitely getting the better of that one.
And Machine was down by about 35 supply there for a second. It seems like if Spades had been able to sit back, expand, and take a defensive position, he would have been in a better position. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and Machine has found himself once again up in supply. And where did that drop go? It was making its way in. I thought it was going to try and re-deny the base here in the top left-hand corner, and it looks like it's making its way down a little bit further. Hasn't dropped those units yet. I guess just afraid of those Infestors.
I mean, Spades continues to move forward here. I don't know exactly what he's trying to push on, but got a ton of kills right there with those siege tanks, so doing a pretty good job. He needs to add Vikings into the mix, though. We don't have very many Vikings at all out of him, and that could prove to be disastrous for him in the deep late game here, because that Broodlord, Infestor, Corruptor unit composition is just so deadly. But Machine just scrambling to put together an army here. Spades once again with a... Oh my god, he killed another siege tank on accident. He continues to target his own siege tanks throughout this game. I don't know why.
Well, I could tell you, I don't think he's doing it intentionally.
I don't either, but I've never seen him do it so many times in one game.
Could be a little bit of, because both these players had good opportunities at different points. Both players we found to be significantly up at different times. Maybe a little bit of frustration coming out. I mean, he obviously did knock off 2 very good players. He defeats Idra, he defeats Axelov, and now he's finding himself in a real game. The first game of his, I think that's gone past 10 minutes.
So that's when it's time to kill your own siege tanks.
Your 31-minute self-kill tank push, whatever. Anyway, so here we go. Broodlord's coming in from the side. Going to do quite a bit of damage. He's trying to get all those units back. He's trying to go them back to the Infestors.
Oh God. So many Banelings.
Thank you, Artosis.
So many Fungals as well. The Marines not able to move out of the way, and oh no, it looks like Spades is getting picked apart just a little bit here. I don't know why he's committing with tanks against an almost purely Broodlord army.
And it looks like some Zerglings cleaned up the mining over the 12 o'clock, so no economy coming in for Spades whatsoever.
Yeah, he's virtually not mining right now. Those Baneling drops just continue to whittle down the numbers of the SCVs, and Now we're down to very, very low numbers here. His income is virtually non-existent.
No, not at all. And let's see, more Corruptors, 5 more Corruptors, as a matter of fact, coming up now for Machine. He's going to be able to turn those into Broodlords very quickly, and this is pretty much all tanks left for Spades, so those Broodlords are going to be that much more effective. There we go, a few Banelings are being morphed in, but Spades has got to make something happen, and quick. He doesn't have another drop queued up anywhere across the map, but, oh, it looks like Machine flying those Broodlords in unprotected. He finally has the Infested Terrans coming up to drive away those Vikings, but they've done their damage, almost killing a second Broodlord.
Yep, and what's Brian going to do here? Spades with his back against the wall with a Zerg blade up against his throat. I don't know if they have blades, do they? Well, the Queen of Blades, I guess, has blades, right? She has knives of some sort.
There you go. And it looks like the Infestors very smartly were targeted down first by Spades. Nice little micro maneuver there. Makes the rest of this push much less effective. And indeed, Machine is going to have to pull back at the moment. However, he does have a couple more Infestors. He's going to be able to push those back. Again, though, this comes down to Spades. This is his mining. This is it. That is all he's mining at the moment. So even though Machine hasn't been very effective with these continued pushes, it doesn't matter because he can replenish so well. He can just overwhelm Spades here in a bit.
Well, you know, Machine was getting very effective with those pushes, or he's getting very effective now in the late game. He wasn't so effective earlier on, and now we have Spades going in for some sort of a final push effort here, and he's losing all of his siege tanks. He's also going to lose all of these Marines, but not before he takes out the Broodlords. As soon as Machine reinforces, though, he will be able to kill the rest of these units. He does have 3 Infestors burrowed, hidden away, tucked over at the natural there, but not going to be enough.
Oh, a few Zerglings are going to go down as they make their way across as well. Looks like Machine is going to make a stand over here on the left-hand side. There we go. 5 more Broodlords coming up. Was waiting for that. Spades down to just 41 supply. He is producing 2 Marines at a time.
Yep. His income virtually non-existent, and he cannot continue to produce at the same level that Machine is. Machine just gonna sacrifice all these buildings. He's not too worried about it as long as he continues to deny Spades' mining, and he has gotten rid of that orbital over at the 12 o'clock position in mid. So Spades no longer has that as an option to mine, and Spades' last remaining planetary fortress only has 5 mineral patches left, and that's it.
And there it is. GG.